Welcome to our series, Dyin,
Cryin
and Lyin on Two Luckies,
the podcast. This is a series where we rewatch Little House on the Prairie, a show that we loved when we were kids, and we give our perspective on it as adults.
As adults, and I must say, watching it as an adult has been very different.
It's been extremely different, and we found out that their plots tend to have three main categories. They are either dying,
They're crying,
or they are lying. And we figured out that they have 2 out of the 3 categories every episode. So if you want to know what it's like to sit in the car with us and have us tell you a story with categories, you're about to find out. So buckle up. Here we go. For Two Luckies, the podcast presents Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin.
Season 2, Episode 3, Ebenezer Sprauge.
Town is a hustling and a bustling. People are going all around. And then we see Charles, and he is mixing up some mortar mix because him and Mr. Hanson from the mill are building a bank.
They're building a bank, and I'm going to throw this out there again. Chaz, still in the same shirt.
He is still in that shirt. That shirt must be indestructible because it has lasted countless washings
Pug
here.
mills and bank building.
And an entire previous season. But they are talking about this banker that's going to be coming in. He seems like a very unhappy fellow. His name is Ebenezer Sprauge. They think it's going to be a good thing. The farmers had a very bad winter, we hear from Mr. Hanson, and that they're going to need loans and money for all of the things that they need to get their farming ready, to get their planting done and everything else. Charles seems to be very excited about this. He seems to think that this is going to be the busiest place and this is going to be great. And they have 21 days to build this building. It's made out of brick. They are building a brick building. They have 21 days and they will get a penalty for every day that they are late, we are told by Mr. Hanson.
Should be exciting. We're at the Ingalls farm and we come in and immediately we got Chaz with the pipe. And he's got the Christmas season 1 shirt on, so good job on you, Chaz.
Yes, it's either the one that Mary made or it's the one that Ma made because she hid that one and she rotates them around the laundry. I'm convinced of it.
Yep, so the whole family's sitting around the table doing their odds and ends, and Chaz has got his nose in a book there with his pipe and figures it out. He's going to buy 40 more acres.
With a loan. Mr. Cash on the barrel head.
Credit to Ma for calling out. Chaz, I didn't think you'd want to be owing to anybody again. I know what I said. So if what you said was false, right? We got to call that lying. Cash on the barrel head does not exist for you.
Well, and we find out that he has a little bit of FOMO because he has fear of missing out. Because Mankato is growing every day and he's going to be able to sell everything he harvests. And we forgot to mention we have a Carrie report. She is in a big girl chair and she's holding the yarn for Ma. And Ma is making a ball out of the yarn and she's got her hands out.
She's all grown up. So she's helping.
Now. She's growing up.
So, yeah, that's where they left it. Let's see how this is going to work out because he's going to have this conversation with Mr. Sprague and do some banking.
And this banking guy already sounded grouchy just from the way Mr. Hanson was telling us about him. Well, this Ebenezer Sprague shows up. He's got somebody driving a wagon for him that's full of stuff, and he puts his hand up very strenuously and says, "Wait here, don't take anything out of that wagon." And he goes around inside while Charles is still nailing the last things up over a window, and Mr. Hanson is going around telling him how this is solid and the beams are 12 inches apart and all this other stuff. And this guy has a sour look on his face. He's critically looking at every single thing. And when they get ready to leave, before they get ready to leave, he tells them he's going to deduct a day off of their pay because they were supposed to have this completely done at noon. It is afternoon, and Charles was still working on it. So now they're
12:48.
Yes, they're going to be 48 minutes. They're going to lose an entire day for 48 minutes, and they had to unload the wagon for this guy. And before they leave, because Charles got it in his head that he's going to buy that extra 40 acres because he's got FOMO. So he gets ready and he says, you've been traveling and had a hard time and everything else, and you're new in town. I'd like to invite you to our farm for a home-cooked meal. He really loves to give Ma's
Yeah, I want to
services
invite
away.
you over for supper.
Yes, for supper. And this guy says, why would you want to do that? And then he was like, I've been taking care of myself for a long time, and he has no interest in having any friends in this town. He is just a cold-hearted guy. Really, they did a good job at making this guy is frosty.
Ooh, icy. Nighttime at the Ingalls, and Chaz is getting ready for bed. Ma's there, and she's having a conversation about how the school needs new textbooks and, yada, yada, yada.
Well, she was kind of like doing this whispering thing while playing with her braid, and he was not listening to her at all.
No, not at all. And she finally calls him out on it and says, "Are you still stewing about that Ebenezer Sprague?" And he's like, "Yes, imagine... thinks I wanted to invite him over just to get on his good side." And then we find out at the end of that dialogue, he actually says, "You know what I'm afraid of? That I actually did do that." So the fact that you said that you didn't just invite him over you were just being neighborly, we're going to call that lying by your own admission.
Yes,
Thank you,
he
writers.
was trying to convince himself that he didn't have ulterior motives, and then she was the one that called him out on it, and then he admitted it. I think you might be right, that I did invite him over, and not just because he was a new neighbor.
So he does have a good point, though. He still has to go and talk to this guy about doing business for a loan, and he's already put his foot in his mouth. So
Oh boy, did he put his foot
see
in his
how
mouth.
this goes.
Now, Charles brings Carolyn into town in the wagon with the dream team of
Dream
horses
team.
and jingling from the 100-Mile Walk episode. And they get in there, and she says, okay, you're going to go to the bank, and she's going to go in and sell her eggs to Mrs. Olson. Then she's going to meet him at the bank. And while she's in there, Mrs. Olson is counting her eggs and talking about how Mr. Sprague, it must be so hard for him that he's such an important person, and it must be hard to deal with all these farmers, and I don't know how much longer I could live here and deal with all that stuff. And she's going on and on and on.
Typical Harriet.
Well, and she's going on so long that Ma is like, could you just hurry up? Like, I need my money here. And then she says, of course, unfortunately, that she's meeting Charles over by the bank. And now all of a sudden, Mrs. Olson just gloms onto her and is
I'll
like,
go with you.
I'll go with you. And she's got all her stuff. She's got a mirror set up and a hat. Like, she was already ready for this. And she gets ready, and then she's like, come on, we can't leave him waiting. And she's like, what is going on here? So she wanted an excuse, and her husband, Nels, is standing over there just shaking his head
Mortified.
because he knows this
looks
is going to be trouble.
mortified.
Because Mrs. Olson is Mrs. Olson.
Well, over at the bank, it doesn't look too good for old Chaz.
Oh
He's
boy,
in
it's
there.
looking miserable.
Mr. Sprague is giving him the business, and then he doesn't have enough collateral, and the land's not worth anything.
And he
it's
can't
just going
put
back
your
and forth.
promises and your good name in his safe.
And then, here comes Harriet Olson, got to barge in, and boy, she tried to lay on that Harriet Olson charm, and she just got shot down by this guy.
Oh my gosh, it was brutal. She was trying to connect with him about, I'm from a city and I'm sure that you were too. And he turned around and looked at her and was like, I grew up, but his father was a farmer.
Yeah.
He didn't see a city till he was like 17, and he didn't like it. And like he dismissed her, like she was trying to shake his hand.
Oh, yeah.
He ignored it. I mean, she missed on every single account
She
with
got
him.
knocked off the pedestal a little bit.
Yeah, so she retreated as quickly as she could. Ma ran outside, and then Pa is standing there being like,
Yep, and then we find out that Mr. Sprague needs a few days to think about that loan, so he didn't exactly say no just yet, but he didn't say yes either.
and the things he was saying before that didn't sound too promising. either.
No.
On the way back in the wagon, Ma and Pa are sitting there laughing about how Mr. Sprague just like smacked Mrs. Olson down by, just his
Bang, pow.
attitude. He really didn't say much to her, but he just looked at her like she wasn't worthy to be stuck on his shoe.
Right? It was pretty embarrassing.
It was brutal. And then Ma's over there like gleeful about, it was so much fun, watching him be so mean.
And we had the Chaz chuckle.
Oh, and wasn't he wearing his
He's wearing the Christmas shirt.
He's wearing the Christmas shirt.
We're expanding again.
Ooh, it was a big day.
The scene is now in town in the bank. The clock strikes 3, and here comes some kind of a neighbor looking like he wants to walk in the building, and this guy Sprague just locks the door right in his face, pulls the shades down, and I'm out of here.
Brutal, this
3
guy.
o'clock.
He does not care about what anybody thinks of him. He has no interest in being friends with anybody.
Mrs. Olson's outside sweeping the porch as
She
he's
was wearing
driving
a
by.
bonnet.
Yeah,
We
she
never
tries
see
to
that.
hide the thing, wave at the guy, and then
He just, like,
totally
drives
blows her
by.
off. And poor Nels, he's clueless, really, because he has to go and ask, when's he coming for supper? And she just had a fit.
Well, she was, she was
I don't
uninterested,
get it.
especially since she was trying to connect with him about being from a city, and she found out, because that's what she had been complaining about to Ma, is that she lives with all these farmers and she couldn't get used to it. And now he's a farmer's son. So,
Highfalutin.
well, and he's ignoring her like she doesn't exist. Well, Laura is doing her chores and she's whipping up a whirlwind of dust with this broom. I mean, so
Poor
much so
Mary.
that Mary's like, what are you doing? Because Mary has her glasses on that she got in the last episode.
4 eyes.
And she that's what they called it. That's the name of the episode. And she's like over there choking from the dust because Laura is on a mission to go out and go fishing because she loves to go fishing. And she's trying to get out of there. And Mary's going to stay and do the optional homework because she's always doing some kind of
she's Mary.
schoolwork. Yes, but I mean, she was sweeping so hard she almost swept the dog. She just wanted to get out of there with her fishing pole and go and fish.
So Laura's walking across a field, and she's got Jack the dog with her. And all of a sudden, Jack starts running along because here comes a horse carriage, single horse, and it's Ebenezer Sprauge.
Oh yeah, he's over there with this one horse. This is actually a really nice looking carriage.
It
and
almost
horse.
looked like Doc Baker's rig.
It really did,
Very
and I
similar.
feel like I've seen Reverend Alden drive the same vehicle. So like, not the same horse. This horse was a nice looking horse, but like I feel like we've seen this buggy before.
Yeah, so Jack causes some trouble, starts barking and yipping, and he ends up spooking the horse, and the horse takes off. And
Well, it looked like he was trying to whip Jack with the horse whip
Yeah.
and ended up whipping his own horse, and then the horse takes off
the
running.
horse takes off, and he's running, and then he ends up crashing into looked like a big bush of some kind.
Right, and Laura's running
Laura's
behind
running the
trying
whole
to
way.
stop
It's,
Jack.
stop. And this is how she meets Ebenezer Sprauge. Only thing is, she doesn't know who he is. She
Right.
just asks him if he's going fishing too. He's, some kind of smart-ass answer. No, I only carry this fishing rod to whip animals with. No, you hold that dog while wait till I'm out of sight.
And he wanted to call the sheriff or something. He was
Yeah.
going to report this incident
I'm
to
going
the
to report
sheriff.
this to the sheriff.
And
You can't do that.
Because there isn't one.
There isn't one. Oh.
I mean, he really hasn't been in town long enough to know how the demographics are going here. But yeah, he's just a sour.
He's a sour grapes, but Laura, being Laura, just gives it right back
She
to
was
him.
sassy
and-
right
yeah.
back to him too, and good for her because he's kind of a jerk.
So, but it has to be said that they don't know who each other are yet.
Right, it's very important
still strangers.
for the continuation of the story. It is very important that these two people, Laura and Ebenezer, have no idea who each other are. So somehow this guy ends up going ahead of Laura and ends up at her favorite fishing hole. She fishes very well.
Surprise.
Her character is known for being very good at fishing. She has a favorite fishing hole, and she had been making dough balls with the leftover bread for lures. So he's sitting there. He has a very fancy rig. He's got a reel. He has a store-bought thing.
I do have something to ask, though, because you brought up this point. This guy's new in town. How did he find this place?
This is like a local spot. Like, I mean, really, she walks a considerable distance from their home to get to
Just
this place.
asking.
And it's
Just
like deep
asking.
in the woods. It's a pond or something like that. And he's grouchy when she gets there, tells her to go someplace else. She goes not very far away from him. And she starts hauling off fish with her dough balls,
Bang,
like left
bang,
and right.
bang,
She
bang.
offers him to, do you want to use my lures? I have some extra. He doesn't want any part of it.
He's got to give her a whole speech,
Wait,
and-
but she pulls out she has 10 fish by the time she's done on this big rope. And she's got a very rudimentary kind of pole. She's got just a stick with a string. Jack is making all kinds of noise while they're fishing, and he was blaming it on this and that. She goes, okay, fine. And when she leaves, she had some left over, and she offers it to him. He says that his books, knew better than she did, and he's older, and he's going to be able to do this. And she very rightfully so says, well, maybe the fish didn't read the books, because she's got a whole bunch of fish, and this guy's got absolutely nothing. But she leaves with Jack with a smile and her whole haul of fish.
It was a funny scene.
It really was.
We're at the schoolhouse now, and it looks like they're having some kind of a school board meeting. And Mrs. Olson's standing up and right away saying about how it shouldn't be up to the whole town to provide money for books for the kids. It should be up to the parents. And she's giving this whole hogwash, just the typical Harriet Olson, I'm better than everybody else.
Well, and she doesn't want to spend money, and she's on the school board. I mean, she really doesn't care about everybody being equally educated.
But they figure it out and say, well, they're just going to petition the townspeople who can afford something. They're going to go and ask them for donations.
And they did this last year for the Blackbirds.
Right. It puts Mrs. Olson in a very peculiar spot, because her spot to ask is right in the middle of town where Mr. Sprague is. So right away, she tries to pawn off that responsibility and give it to Caroline Ingalls by telling her that she's become such close friends and, with a fellow business associate, and we're going to call that Lyin. He doesn't give her the time of day.
He doesn't care a hoot about her.
So thank you, script writers. You gave us one from good old Mrs. Olson. And Mrs. Ingalls did agree to go over and ask, after she's so hilarious said, well, if you're too afraid to ask him,
yes,
I'll be glad
Oh
to.
my gosh. But yeah.
It isn't that.
I know.
Of course it's
meanwhile,
that.
Mrs. Olson was talking to other people. Like, I don't understand why she didn't ask one of the other women that she was standing with. She went specifically for Carolyn. So Carolyn goes over to the bank because she agreed to go do it. And she's looking around, admiring, the handiwork of her husband.
She's got a little bit of gutter mouth.
Well, I mean, really, I think she should have kept her mouth shut because she mentioned when he asked what you were doing, because he said that she needed to wait. When he does finally turn around and she identifies who she was he thought she was Mrs. Hanson, which Mr. Hanson doesn't have a Mrs. Hanson.
Right.
She says who she is, and that he immediately thinks it has something to do with the loan. And then she has to get him off of this loan thing because he said, it's not going to be determined by the wiles of a woman. So he's just nasty. And then she's trying to tell him about the future of America and how we need books. And then he says to her, I grew up very nicely without books. The children will not have books. I find it very hard to believe that he is the sole owner of this bank, from what he just said.
Yep.
He is the sole owner of this bank. He grew up in a farm, had very little education, and somehow he's able to own a bank.
Right.
And he's the only person involved with this bank, too. So this is a considerable amount of money. So where did he come up with the money? Where did he come up with the education to do the math necessary? I was thinking about that. They didn't have calculators back then.
This is the writers of the show trying to make an equal comparison to Ebenezer Scrooge by Charles Dickens.
Yes, but I really feel like they're reaching here that they're trying to make this sound like this guy had zero education and now he owns a bank where he is the sole proprietor, he's the sole investor, and the only reason it exists is for him to make himself a tidy profit.
The only thing they really got correct was they both had the same attitude.
Yes, they do have the same. Yes, okay, we'll give you that.
The scene shifts back to the fishing hole, and Laura's walking up with Jack, and we see Sprague's horse and carriage is already sitting there. And it's just like the first day, except now he's sitting where she was before, and she calls him out on it.
Yeah, she does. I mean, she has no qualms about talking to this guy. It's funny. She calls him out on it.
And he is being real icy. Icy. He's not even acknowledging her, but she does her thing, and, not even 2 seconds, and got one. Really wish you'd try these little dough balls, and he just blew her off again. So she gets up and walks over and practically sticks him in his face. All right, if you stop pestering me. So
well, and then he
two
hurts
seconds?
He hurts his finger on the hook.
Oh, that's
and
right.
And she said, "Oh, you hurt yourself." And he said, "No, I didn't, and I'm calling it Lyin." Thank
you didn't hurt
scriptwriters.
yourself. Why is your finger bleeding?
Exactly. He was like, "Ouch!" I mean, he really hurt himself.
But he did try the dough ball, and he did catch a fish.
Like
and she said,
5
it's
seconds
a
later.
big one.
Yes.
So she's trying to get to him, but she still doesn't know who he is.
He doesn't know who she is either. Right.
Is.
They have no idea who each other is.
Well, let's see where this goes.
Well, Laura must have a flamethrower because she thawed out this icy man. He actually gave her a ride in his fancy carriage. And he's telling her a story about how he got swept down the river or something and he had to save his boat by curling his toes underneath and hanging underneath the seat and hanging onto some tree that was hanging over the water. And I feel like he was telling her a tale, but his face was relaxed and he wasn't speaking so highfalutin like he does when he's in town. He actually was speaking like somebody who grew up on a farm. He was speaking differently than he normally does.
Like somebody with a heart?
Like somebody with a heart, yes, because his icy heart had frozen, had unfrozen. And she asks, she says, "Okay, this is where I have to go away." I don't know where Jack went though. Jack was with her fishing every time. She brings Jack. This was a long shot they did. There was no dog anywhere near this horse and buggy that the two of them were in.
The only thing I can think of is if that pond is close enough to her house that she walks there, maybe Jack just walked home.
I don't know. It just seems weird. He usually stays with her. I noticed it right away.
I think the writers might have missed on that.
I think they missed on it because Jack was just nowhere to be found. But maybe they were so surprised that this guy thawed out for Laura. But I mean, so much so that they're making plans to go and fish tomorrow. She's going to bring dough balls. And she even apologized for Jack scaring the horse on the first day. But they are actually starting to, dare I say, be friendly. Oh my gosh.
Ooh. It's dinner time at the Ingalls, and we got the whole family sitting around the table while Laura is retelling the story that Mr. Sprague had shared with her on the way back.
Now, did we see Carrie? I don't even remember if we saw her.
I think Carrie was there, but, a couple of points. One, Pa wearing the Christmas shirt.
He is wearing that Christmas shirt.
We got a rotation going.
Yes, he's got a rotation in this episode.
Two, and you brought this up earlier. How is it that she's got this new friend and gives her a ride in the carriage home and, nobody wants to meet this guy?
I mean, I think it's strange. It's a small town. They know everybody knows everybody. I mean, at least in passing from church or from coming into the mercantile or something like that.
But the funny part of this whole story is that there's Ma right away. Maybe you should introduce your friend to Mr. Sprague. Maybe the niceness will rub off.
Well, it is Mr. Sprague.
No helping that guy out.
And then Ma tells the story about going into the bank and asking for donations for the books and what happened there.
Yeah, and then Chaz turns around. I don't want you going in that bank again.
Yeah, so of course now he's got to tell her, he's got to give her another commandment that she's not allowed to do, but she doesn't want to go in and talk to this guy again anyway.
Yeah, so it's funny that none of them know that the two people they're talking about are one and the same.
But I still think it's strange. I mean, new people in this area, it would be a buzzing kind of, everybody would know about it. So how they didn't figure out that the new person was the new person that they're talking about, Sprague. It just seems weird. So Mary and Laura are coming home, and I thought to myself, Mary looked like she had a bonnet on, and she had her dress on, and it looked like somebody went dunk, 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 like Mario when he hits an enemy after he had the mushroom and he shrinks. She looked like a shrunken version of Ma.
Mini Ma.
Mini Ma. But she was not power walking, which usually she is on a mission to get wherever she was going. They were kind of taking their time, and they were taking a weird off road kind of. They were almost climbing to get out of wherever they were. But they were talking about this Mr. Sprague and how mean he is and how much money he has, and they couldn't believe that he wasn't giving any money towards the books.
Right. And Miss Beadle was so sad because if he's not giving any money, nobody else is giving money, so it doesn't look like they're able to get the books.
Right, especially since we knew from the beginning of the episode that the farmers last winter had a very hard time, so it doesn't seem like there's a lot of money to go around, and this guy probably would have been one of the bigger contributors, and he decided, no thank you. But now neither one of the girls have seen this guy, they think, although Laura's fishing with him every day, and Laura says, I don't need a new book anyway because I'm going to go fishing with my friend, and no one seems to be questioning
They haven't
this.
put it together?
They really haven't.
So this gets very interesting because we're back at the fishing hole, and there's Laura, Mr. Sprague, Except Laura's now telling the whole story about this banker, Ebenezer Sprauge, and how mean he is and how he's
and how
not
they're
helping.
supposed to feel bad for him.
And
that's what Pa says.
This guy is trying to defend himself without actually saying who he is, so we got to call that a big ol' lion. You should have told her that she's talking about you.
And he did not at all. He was talking about this banker like it was some other person, and it was in fact himself, and they were going back and forth about whether or not it's right to give something to people, and he says you have to work hard for it, and she says poor people work hard, anyway.
Yeah, poor people
and
work
it's not
the
their
hardest.
fault. It's not their fault that they're poor. They really do work hard. They work very hard for what they have.
So it's very interesting to see how this one comes crashing to the ground soon.
Well, and he's over there smiling with her too. Like he's listening to this whole story, and he actually does seem to enjoy her company, and they're catching fish together. It's kind of interesting. So he's keeping up the pretense because now he's giving her a ride home in the carriage again, and she is trying to invite him over to dinner, but he knows he can't go over to dinner because he just heard about Pa says this and Pa says that while they were at the fishing hole.
Right. But he still doesn't know who she is.
He doesn't know who she is, but he was hearing about what her family thinks about this banker not contributing. And I mean, she was spilling the beans about everything. And now she's trying to do some kind of matchmaking, saying that, why didn't you get married? Why don't you have a family of your own? And, he never had the time, he says. And she's going on and on about how there's a lot of old women there in town and that it's never too late and that he should have a family of his own.
Less time fishing and more time courting.
Yes, he says, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I mean, he really is not saying anything.
So the kids are let out of school, and it's funny because they're all standing outside, and there goes Mr. Sprague riding by for Laura to say, hey, I'll meet you at the fishing hole. And it was Nellie that comes over. Why are you so nice to him? That's mean old Mr. Sprague.
He's the meanest man in town.
Like, he's the banker.
She really had no clue.
She has no clue. So she goes over to the fishing hole where he's at, and he's all happy to see her, and she calls him out on it. Why didn't you tell me you were Mr. Sprague?
Well, and he said, I didn't think it mattered. Which, I mean, really...
And
really?
then you didn't tell me your name. Well, I wasn't keeping it from you. It's Laura Ingalls. Oh, your pa just sent you out here so he could curry my favor and get a loan. People only talk to me when they want something.
Well, and it does make sense about his behavior if you feel that everybody, the only reason they want to talk to you is because they're trying to get money out of you.
But he was such a dink to her that she turned around and told him that she doesn't want to be his friend anymore, and she would rather be fish alone for the rest of her life. And then she started crying. The writers knew it. They gave us that second tidbit.
Yes, we knew they couldn't leave it with just one category. Come on now. This is Dyin, Cryin and Lyin. Pa comes up the ladder to the loft where Mary and Laura sleep. Mary looks like she's already snoozed. And poor Laura's over there. She's heartbroken, and they have her crying, and we're sad for her because come on now, she really thought she had a friend. She wanted somebody else who liked to fish as much as she does.
She took this one on the chin.
Well, he was the first one that she's ever met like this, and they were going back and forth about it. Pa's trying to console her, and she just wanted to have a friend. And now he goes downstairs after she cries herself to sleep. He didn't even dry the tears off of her face. Yeah. And he tells Ma that he's going to go into town tomorrow and he's going to have a talk with this Mr. Sprague.
You go, Chaz.
Go, Chaz.
The dream team was a jingling away into town, and old Chaz went right over to E. Sprague Bank, and boy, he lit right into him.
He really did.
Telling him how she tried to give him her, her friendship, and you threw it right back in her face, and
Sprague is trying to say that, you only sent her over there to try to get something out of
He
you.
wouldn't take that loan if it meant that he would lose everything. So he threw that back at him and walked out and said he felt sorry, that he was pretty much a nothing.
Well, and he has no friends. And Sprague said, I don't need any friends. And Charles said...
I told you, they're setting this up to be just like Ebenezer Sprauge.
Well, I mean, he mentioned about the only thing you have to give is money. And really, they were kind of...
Chaz was like all three ghosts.
Yes, he was like, yes, he was all three ghosts.
Because then the scene shifted
one.
over to Ebenezer Sprague's house, and he's up alone, and it's kind of set up very much like Scrooge. There's like nothing in the room, and we saw Mr. Sprague sitting at the table, and he was crying.
He was wiping his eyes. Yes, they got us again because they knew what show this is. Now we're in school and it must be towards the end of the day, and they're getting their assignments. And a lot of these kids, I didn't realize how bad this was, that they were having to go to other farms to visit people who actually had the books to finish their assignments if they were given.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
I mean, that's rough. I mean, because none of these farms are not close together. So, I mean, they may have to travel miles to another farm just to share books. And then all of a sudden, this big crate comes in, and we find out that they're all of the books that they've been looking for in poetry.
Yay, they got the
Yay,
books.
Woo!
Woo!
And Laura just like ditches out. She takes one of the books and she leaves, and she goes over to the fishing hole, and she sees Mr. Sprague sitting there, and she says, "Did you catch anything?" And he pulls out this huge haul of fish. I mean, my gosh, he actually acknowledges.
He looked like he had at least 10 or 12.
I mean, he had a ridiculous amount of fish.
Maybe
and
more.
She commented, he said thanks to you, because really she did help him learn how to do this here. Because he was having a terrible time with this. And then she holds up the book and says, "Thanks to you." And then she actually says, and to keep doing this, they offer Ma's services for cooking. So Ma got volunteered to be cooking up all this fish.
She got voluntold to take care of that fish.
Yes, it is literally Ebenezer Scrooge. He's got Carrie on his lap.
Carrie's
and
on
then
the
the
knee.
chocolate cake comes out, and Pa got his loan, and everything's right with the world. He bought the acres, and then they're smiling, and Carrie is booping his nose with her finger, and it was just a love fest all around. Everybody was all lovey squeakies, lovey
Carrie
happy.
is the new Tiny Tim.
Yes, Carrie must be the new Tiny Tim, but everything happened great and everything worked out, and now he had a nice look on his face because Laura was his friend.
But even so, they still hit at least 2 categories.
They hit
We
2 out of
had
3
some
of our
lying.
categories.
We definitely had some crying.
Yes, we had Lyin and we had Cryin, and the fish were dying, so really we had...
Yes, the fish were dying.
The fish were dying because they were fishing a lot. They were dying. So we had all 3 of our categories in here if you count the fish.
So make sure you join us for the next episode, which is called In the Big Inning.
Inning like baseball.
Like baseball,
because I was like, inning.
And if you say it too fast, it sounds like beginning.
The beginning, yeah. So it's the big inning.
The big inning. And that concludes this episode on Dyin,
Cryin
and Lyin on Two Luckies.
Two Luckies,
the podcast.
We release these weekly, and there's a whole bunch of them out already, so go check them out.
We'll see you the next time.
We're out.
Two Luckies, the podcast.
Two Luckies, the podcast. Two Luckies, the podcast.
Yeah, you made it to the fun fact.
Woo, you stayed.
All right. Today's fun fact, this is the first episode we've done during the daytime in quite a while.
Yes, it's been a long time. Yes, we've been doing some night recording recently, just because of the way the battle of the wallpaper went.
The wallpaper is done, but we thank you for sticking around, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes, we hope you had some fun.